Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It is, well, it's not a day of anything in terms of RPG a day. I almost said that. I wonder why. I'm sitting here with my character sheet and my calculator. I'm doing these calculations. I mentioned the other day something happened to me. I bought a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons 5e books, and all that stuff. So my history is now on Amazon, which instantly connects to Facebook. And so Facebook starts to recommend all these things to me, right? You've had this happen to you, haven't you? And so I get this ad that streams across my Facebook page for D&D Beyond, sponsored. Take the stress out of starting D&D with digital tools to help you play. Bring your first D&D character to life with a character builder that walks you through each step of character creation. Don't worry about your spells with built-in tooltips to help you know what to do on your turn. Make managing your character easy with suggestions for each new ability and classes to your character to take at every level. No need to lug around all your books. Bring them anywhere. Unlock D&D content and read them on the go with D&D Beyond app, etc., yada, yada, yada. Including like a picture of, well, I didn't take a very good picture of it, like, what the character's doing. You probably can't see that. It's okay. Doesn't really matter. You get the idea. And I also mentioned that in my, the kids that I'm teaching at the library, or playing with at the library, they had been using Roll20, and now we're not using Roll20. And I discovered, even yesterday, the kids that knew the game better than some of the other kids who are really kind of just noobs when it came down to it, still really weren't sure how to roll for stuff. They really weren't sure, how to add the bonuses together. And these are kids that have read the book a few times, and were more savvy on some stuff. And I found it interesting. And it just so happened that I got a comment from one of my friends. I posted a picture of my daughter, I think, organizing all of these Zuccotti dice. I got a bunch of these dice now, and I bought a few cans of the whoop-ass. And so they're all different colors. And this offended her OCD, so she organized all of them by color. And so it was pretty great, except like, you touched my dice, and everything. It was pretty funny. But it was cool. But she was interested in stuff. I got her a player's handbook, which arrived today. So, last night. But one of my friends from high school, I haven't seen or talked to Chris in years, like decades. I was closer to his older brother, who was this phenomenal classical guitarist, this guy Andrew Leonard. I think I've got one of his CDs called Music of the Ages. Just phenomenal classical guitar. So go check out Andrew Leonard. There's a plug for you, Andy. But Chris was another bass player, and but he'd mentioned, I knew he was playing 5th edition D&D with his friends. And he mentioned he's been playing on Roll20. He kind of commented on that photograph I put up on Facebook, and somebody else posted that they've got Magic the Gathering going on at their house. So I said, hey, Chris, do you mind talking about your experience with Roll20? Because I have this suspicion. And so he was gracious enough to talk to me for a few minutes today, and we might end up playing together sometime. He's been playing, actually, I guess, with the same guys for a while now. And he lives up in New York, and so he's playing with these dudes, and he's now playing via Roll20. But I asked him, what is it doing for you? And he told me about the map and the tokens and whatnot. But he said, yeah, you plug everything in, and so pretty much if you want to use an ability, you press a button and use that ability. And you're not actually interfacing with the dice or with, how do I add this bonus and that bonus, or advantage or not advantage this. When you cast a heal spell, it does all the work for you. So you're kind of divorced from that, actually, not just picking up the dice, but knowing how the game works. You don't really need to know. And he said, well, all of us have been playing for about 40 years, but I see how, like, a new person could come in. You plug all the stuff in for them, or show them how to plug the stuff in once into Roll20 or any other thing, like I guess D&D Beyond. And after that, it kind of does the work for you. And, I wondered about that. Wow, is this a good thing or not a good thing? And before I start throwing stones at it, certainly there are form-fillable character sheets we've used for Ubiquity, which will give you your final totals on something with with your secondary stats, or your dexterity use your dexterity modifier plus how many ranks you put in a skill, and bang. It's a little bit easier that way. Make sure you don't forget anything, because sometimes it's easy to do that. And I have something set up for our Mithras game right now, where it's played by email, where you have to do calculations based on something as hard or Herculean or easy, and it's a percentage of your base score. That's a pain in the butt to do on the fly. You have to do that stuff in the beginning. And so I just wrote a little, formula in, I think it was like Sheets. I don't think I used Excel, because I use Sheets on my iPad, even though Excel's better, or more useful. But it was there. And boom, so this does all the work for me. I plug this information in once, and so now I know if it's a hard task, here's my chance to be, diplomatic or whatever it happens to be. But I kind of did that work myself. And I put the formulas in so I know how they work, as opposed to, the thing about that concerns me, now that I'm on an old guy soapbox, or just a soapbox of sorts, is it concerns me, like, where is our hobby going? I don't think there's anything wrong with using something that's going to help you and do all those calculations, especially, I guess in like some kind of environment like Roll20 where it's, maybe you don't want to have your character sheet there. I don't like those things to begin with. I like to look at face to face, so it's different. But as a new person, I wonder, is this really doing them any service? Will they ever really learn how to play the game or how the game actually works? Do they want to know? I can certainly see from a marketing standpoint that, yeah, some people may not ever really want to know how all the doohickeys work. They're going to play with their friends online. They just know their character is really good at stealth and really bad at something else. They're not sure how it works, and they press a button. And, ooh, this happened or that happened. And there's this black box, this big black box of how everything works. It's kind of opaque to them, and that's okay because they don't care. But I want to know. I want to know what's going on. I'd like to know how the game actually works, I thought to myself, too, with not to pick on this game, but we are talking about 5e, I'm talking a lot about this later. The math in this game is not hard. The math in this game is easy, like stupid easy. The concept of this game is the basic concepts of this game are stupid easy. This is, made to be somewhat foolproof. There are some parts that are inelegant and ugly, and I'll talk about those later. But man, it just seems really wild to have, be that divorced from it. Especially, as I'm reading this and I'm really raising my eyebrows, I'll read the parts that just, got me. Don't worry about your spells with built-in tooltips to help you know what to do on your turn. So you don't really have to know what your character is capable of. You don't really have to learn how that class works. Because I want to play a wizard, so darn it, you're going to play a wizard, and we'll tell you what spell to cast. Makes managing your character easy with suggestions for each new ability and classes to your character to take at every level. That's a little bit, it's a little bit more manageable. But man, I kind of want to learn the game a little bit more myself. And I am, in a very real sense, playing the part of D&D Beyond or this Roll20 macro for the kids in the library right now because I'm telling them, okay, roll this. Did you add such and such? Oh, yes or no. But it's reinforcing them learning how to actually play the game. What do I actually need to do? How do these things actually work? So there's actually learning going on through reinforcements and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully they're going to learn. We'll find out whether I'm a good teacher of that or not. As opposed to never really having to learn anything because the computer does everything for you. I love computers. I love all the stuff they can do for us. I love building big databases. Back in the day, the earlier days on my channel, I used to make gigantic, oops, sorry about the feedback. I make gigantic, could be actually 60 cycle hum. I made gigantic databases on Access, looking at all kinds of things for first edition and what have you. But I understood how it all worked. Here, I don't know. I feel a little sad that players of all ages have the opportunity to be divorced from how the game works and have the opportunity to, or might be divorced from it forever and never really get it. And if you ever sit down with them with a piece of paper, they're not going to know. Yeah, I think what's going on with this thing right here is a charging cord, and I believe what I'm plugged into right there is not really well grounded, so I think if I put these two cords together, you might get some 60 cycle hum. That might happen. Right about there. So I'll have to fix that, plug it or something else. You're working the bugs up, so thanks for reminding me about that, because I noticed that in the last video. So that's it. That's something that makes me, those are my thoughts on that. I think it's a great tool to have in the toolbox. There are certainly times I've done it for my characters and made them myself, but I can see how it cripples players as well. Certainly these kids are somewhat crippled in their ability to sit down with their friends, taking out pieces of paper around the table and playing the game. But because of the technology they've used and relied on, they're really not sure how the game works. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on that? Take it easy, kids. I will talk to you later.